Okay, now in part 2 of the delay video, I'm going to show you musical delays. These are delays that are based on notes, like eighth notes or quarter notes, instead of milliseconds. So they'll stay in time with the music. And although I'm going to show you this using a piano, I use musical delays for almost anything. Guitar solos, strings, ethereal percussion, special effects, and of course lead and background vocals. So we're using piano just as an example. So let's check them out. So here's our piano track, and it's playing long whole notes. Let's hear it. Now it's important when using musical delay, the way it's in time with the tempo, that your song is actually on the grid. In other words, you're using the grid lines in REAPER. So this is bar 47, 48, 49, and 50. So actually using the tempo in REAPER. Otherwise, musical delay isn't going to work. So now let's add a delay to the piano. We'll make a new track, name it delay. Let's add the delay plugin to this track. Again, we'll choose the redelay. And again, we'll take down the dry sound so it's completely wet. And then we'll send it from here and drop it to here. That creates our send. And again, it's all the way down, so we can slowly bring it up. Let's open the plugin and our send. But this time, we're going to use the musical length instead of the time. And this is based on eighth notes. So right now it's 4 eighth notes. Let's change it to 1. So now it's an eighth note delay. Let's hear what it sounds like. Now, if we want more repeats, which is common for this use, we're going to use the feedback. What the feedback does is it feeds from the end of the plugin back into the beginning, creating a feedback loop, which gives us more repeats. Let's make this longer. Let's make it 2 eighth notes or a quarter note. Now another thing we could do with this is filter out the delay. Right here, we can make it sound more dark by filtering out the top end using a low pass filter. Now to hear this better, let's bring this up and let's turn off the master parent send so we're just hearing the delay. See how much darker that sounds? Now let's bring in the direct sound to hear it blends. It's a more natural effect. Now we could also filter out the low end. Let's turn this off again. It's a pretty cool sound. Now let's make it a little more subtle. We'll pull this back a bit. And let's try some other delay times. Another standard one would be 4 eighth notes, which would be a half note. But an easily forgotten one is to use some odd numbers, like 3, which is going to create a dotted quarter note. Which is cool for creating some interesting patterns. So let's hear it against a drum loop. Set to an eighth note. Or a dotted quarter note. Notice how interesting or creative that sounds. So don't forget to play with some of those odd ones, like dotted quarter notes or dotted eighth notes. Now, if you don't want to use feedback, we can create more delays using more taps. So let's turn off the feedback. Let's make this a bit higher and this a bit lower. Let's add some taps instead. We'll put this back to quarter notes. And let's add another tap that we could change the effect on. Add a tap here and change this to 4. So now this tap is a half note, while this tap is a quarter note. So it sounds like this. But now we can change the volume of the second tap to create a more natural effect. So in the second tap, we'll make it -3. So it fades away more naturally. Now we could also filter the second tap a bit more. So let's bring this down to about 4 kilohertz and bring this up a bit. So now each tap is going to filter a bit more. Let's add a few more taps and do the same thing. We'll change this to 6, filter it a bit more, about to 2, bring this up a bit, and bring the volume down to -6. And let's add one more. And we'll make this 8. Again, we'll filter it a bit more and bring the volume down to -9. So each repeat is more filtered. But another thing we could do with this is create a panning delay. So the first tap can go to the left, the second tap can go to the right, the third tap can go to the left, and the fourth tap can go to the right. It's a pretty cool effect, and we can control the level of each repeat or each tap. Now let's change it up to use our dotted quarter notes. So this would be 3. The next one would be 6, then 9, and then 12. It's the same idea, but a different timing. Let's hear that with the loop. And because we have separate taps set up, they don't have to be equidistant to each other. So the first tap could be a quarter note. The second tap could be a dotted quarter note. Then a half note. So you can create a unique pattern by changing up the taps. Let's change the first tap to 1, the next one to 2, and change this one to 5. Let's put this back to 2 and 4 and keep this at 5 and 6. It's here by itself. Let's create one more tap. and we'll make this 7. And because we can adjust each tap with their volume, their EQ, and their panning, it's really customizable. So anyway, I think you get the idea. This is using a delay, using the Redelay plugin in Reaper. I hope you learned something, I hope you can use it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.